we had a lot of agreement on how the NFC East was going to shake out. I think that there's, especially with Micah Parsons getting thrown into the mix here, depending on, what your flavor is, you could have any kind of configuration of the NFC North. There's a million different ways you could go with predictions in this division. A lot of people call it or pegging it to be one of the best divisions in football. I know it's going to be competitive as hell. But each of these teams has flaws. They each have flaws. So that's the other thing that you have to consider. Lions losing multiple coordinators, losing multiple players on the defensive side. You've got Jared Goff coming off his worst game of the season last year and the biggest game of his career or I guess the biggest game of last season. I would say probably the NFC Championship the year before was the biggest game of his career as a Lion. But yeah, you got serious questions about that, and yet, it's going to be hard to pick against the Lions to repeat with how dominant they've been these past 2 years. So at this point, I guess we got to take it from lowest to highest, right? So lowest, I have not seen. I can't say I haven't seen enough, but I haven't seen anything from J.J. McCarthy. Going back to college, I haven't seen. This guy just did not have to throw the ball in pressure situations. He was surrounded by a super team at Michigan. Just didn't have to throw the ball. Wasn't the pressure wasn't on J.J. McCarthy to deliver. And damn if the pressure isn't on J.J. McCarthy to deliver this year. They have everything set up around him. They put all their chips in. They shipped out a 4,500-yard, 30-plus touchdown passer in Sam Darnold. Say what you will about him. And he did eventually turn into the pumpkin that we all suspected at some point last year in the playoffs. But the guy put up, a historic season, basically became the Baker Mayfield of last year with the way he was able to revive his career. And they shipped him out of town for J.J. McCarthy, for an unknown, essentially a rookie coming off of a lower body injury that kept him out all of last year. So, yeah, I'm going to have the Vikings last until further notice because they have a quarterback that's even less proven than the Bears quarterback, okay? So before anyone says anything about Caleb Williams and how you haven't seen this or that from him, we're talking about a quarterback in Minnesota that hasn't done anything. And he is a hometown kid. And, I do wish the best for him in the capacity that I can while he's playing for the Vikings, which isn't very much. But, yeah, so I'm going to have the Vikings last. It pains me to say, but I got to put the Bears at 3 right now. I got to have the Bears third. Making the playoffs, though. I do have them making the playoffs. I think there will be 3 playoff teams out of the NFC North. I don't know how hot of a take that is with the way that this division is being hyped up. I'm just a believer in Ben Johnson. I believe in the talent that Caleb Williams has. There are definitely some significant questions with the Bears in terms of the left tackle position, for one. Definitely some concerns. The pass rush is still not where you want it to be. For maybe getting Micah Parsons would have been nice, but obviously didn't happen. The worst solution could happen in that
You take Montez Sweat and like it.
Yeah, no, we got Montez Sweat. We got Dayo Odengbo for 3 years. What was it? 3 years, $50 million thereabout. So that's
45 and a half.
Okay, so something like that. So we hope that works out. I'm not going to make any snap judgments on it, but there are definitely some causes for concerns and questions there. I do think the defense will be improved. I think that Dennis Allen is one of the most under the radar hirings that isn't talked about enough, and how it's going to change the way this team plays football. Just bring a completely different vibe, about as different of a head coach as you can get from Matt Eberflus. I mean, this is a guy who's demanding, who's fiery, who's going to have his guys playing press man coverage where Eberflus was having them play soft zone constantly. You're going to see a very different, aggressive Bears defense this year. You got to stay healthy. That's obviously going to be the name of the game. But I just think between the offense, between the weapons that they have, the completely revitalized interior of the offensive line, 2 tight ends, that you can trust. I think Caleb is going to take a step forward. I think the Bears as a whole are going to take a step forward. I think they went from one of the worst coaches in the league to possibly a guy with the potential to be one of the best. So I will bet on them to be an improved team. I think they'll be a playoff team. I do think they'll be third in this division. And then I still have the Packers at number 2. Their current win total sits at 9.5. I mean, you got to think that's going to go up after the Micah Parsons trade, after adjustments, after people start betting on that. We talked a lot about the Packers before. I'm a big believer in Matt LaFleur as a head coach, as much as it pains me to say. Not as much of a believer in Jordan Love, but now they put themselves in a position, and we addressed this earlier, where you're going to have a defense that's going to be able to take the ball away, that's going to be able to put pressure on the other team if the other team's behind. And all Jordan Love's going to have to do is take care of the ball, which is a big if, considering the way he's played football before. But provided he can do that, provided Matt LaFleur can put in the guardrails and scheme things for him to where he doesn't have to, throw it off his back foot 50 yards down the field and into traffic, into double coverage. I do think that the Packers are going to be a much improved team. And I can't yet put a big caveat in my number 1 pick in the Lions, in that Johnny Morton, I'm not so sure about as an offensive coordinator, whether he's going to be able to keep the magic going that Ben Johnson had. But does he even have to when he has players like Jahmyr Gibbs, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Jameson Williams, David Montgomery? They've got Sam Laporta for one. I mean, they've got so much talent on that offense. Jared Goff's in a similar spot where he doesn't have to put up the numbers he put up last year, but just shepherd that offense through. And I think they will be just off talent alone. Even if I have serious questions about their coaching, I think that the Lions are still in the pole position in this division. I have them going over 10.5 wins and winning the division. Not with the number 1 seed as they had this past year. I think the Eagles are going to edge them out for it. But yeah, the Lions, until further notice, are still going to be my champions in the NFC North going into this season.
Pat, I did want to pose a question to you. For talking about the Bears, do you think when I say these 3 names, do you hear questions or do you hear answers? Do you hear solutions to problems? Joe Thuney, Drew Dahlman, and Jonah Jackson.
Oh, I think solutions. I think you're talking. Jonah Jackson was a Pro Bowler the last time he was playing right guard in 2023. Drew Dahlman was the most sought-after center as a free agent last year.
Yeah,
one of the better run-blocking centers. Great athlete, inside, great mind too for the game. So he'll be able to simplify that for Caleb in a lot of ways. And then Joe Thuney, I mean, what is there to be said? He's coming off 2 straight years of being a first-team All-Pro at left guard. Performed admirably as best he could at left tackle, but that's not his position, and he still showed out in the playoffs last year as best he could before the Eagles kind of imposed their will on that entire Chiefs offensive line. But now you're putting him back in the role that he was in when he was a first-team All-Pro for 2 straight years. So I think, yeah, when you compare it to, and I'm glad you brought it up, because if you just look at Tevin Jenkins, Coleman Shelton, Matt Pryor, that was for the majority of the season last year, that was your starting interior offensive line for the Bears. You know where those guys are now? Tevin Jenkins is backup for the Browns, as I'm sure you know. Coleman Shelton is going to be, I don't even know, I guess he's going to start for the Rams. That's a big concern if you're a Rams fan with how you saw him perform last year. And Matt Pryor is a backup for the Eagles at this point. Go Frogs, by the way, with Matt Pryor. So I mean, I think major improvements across the interior offensive line. But again, this division is just going to be so hard to predict. That's why I have them over the Vikings, as many people might disagree. But the improved interior offensive line is a big reason for that. I know Christian can speak more to a lot of his concerns about maybe the left side, the far left side of that O-line. But yeah, right now I'm very confident in what the Bears did.
Touch on the far left side of the O-line, but I mean, you take a step back, and I'm seeing you got 4-3 with a madman like Dennis Allen, who is just bringing pressure up the ass. And you look at who you're going to be putting. I mean, you got Jalen Johnson, Montez Sweat, and it's just like I would be very surprised if they finish last in this division. I do agree with you, Pat. I think you're going to finish over the Vikings. I'm right.
I have to disagree with that for now. I'm still going to put the Vikings at 3, more so just to kind of be the devil's advocate here. Like I don't
the turd in the punch bowl.
Yeah, I guess so to this group for sure. But look, their defense. Like I love Dennis Allen as a coordinator. I think he's probably a top echelon DC in the NFL. The problem is like outside of Jalen Johnson, like you don't really know what you're going to get out of Brisker this year. I think he got hurt again over the past week. You guys, Bears guys, been filling up here and that. Yeah,
Wednesday, the 27th.
Yeah,
he did.
Yeah. And again, I guess you got Tyreek Stevenson and Kyler Gordon. Kyler Gordon, he's good DBs there at corner, but I don't love the linebacker position for you guys. I don't love the defensive line. Gervon Dexter's a good interior guy. Montez Sweat is kind of you're paying a lot for, in my opinion, an average player. You guys lost the Taylor guy who went to the Texans, who he's been getting rave reviews in Texans camp as our third pass rusher. And I think that was a position you guys were already weak at to begin with.
Darrell Taylor. 2 sacks in week 1 and nothing for the rest of the year.
Oh, look, I mean, as the Texans' probably 4th pass rusher, he's been great.
Oh, yeah.
And I think that's where he should be. But, I mean,
he's got
great depth.
Yeah. But look, again, I still have questions about the overall, I guess, talent level, at least on defense for the Bears. And then offensively, look, the interior offensive line got really shored up. I'm kind of jealous of you guys for that because when we get to the Texans, we can talk about my offensive line. But look, tackle is still, I think, the most important position on an offensive line, and that's a huge question mark. I don't know how Caleb is going to handle the pressure. I think Ben Johnson is probably more important than ever when it comes to scheme because last year we know the coaching failures there. I just feel like Minnesota probably has a more complete team than the Bears do right now, just from an overall roster perspective. And that's kind of my devil's advocate case as to why they'll finish higher than the Bears. I'm not saying the Bears are going to have like a 5-win season. I mean, I think they'll be much better than last year. But winning, I see them winning 8 games, and I see the Vikings probably winning 9, possibly 10. And I think, look, they're right around in the mix there, but I just don't think the roster's as complete as Minnesota's. And quarterback, honestly, can we make the argument this is basically Caleb's rookie year? Because you can throw last year out the window with what he was dealing with, to be honest. So, he's got more
rookie year.
Yeah, he's got more experience, but it was all bad experience. He's got some bad habits I think he's got to clean up, and I think, maybe Ben Johnson's the guy that can do that. But if we're going to say J.J. McCarthy's, inexperienced, we haven't seen anything from him. We really haven't, outside of a couple of really wow throws from Caleb Williams last year where I was like, okay, well, that's why he got picked number 1. But, in totality, it's essentially he's just as much of a rookie. Well, I don't know about just as much, but he's like half of a rookie to where J.J. McCarthy is like a full rookie, if you get what I'm saying. Yeah. From a quality experience standpoint, they're probably about the same. Wouldn't you almost rather Caleb Williams had a patella tendon tear and he just sat out last year? I think there would be a lot more.
Why would you even say that? Why would you even?
I'm saying last year, not this year. But I'm saying let's just
take a year off. Take a year off and learn from Kevin O'Connell.
Let's just pretend that Caleb Williams didn't play last year.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what. When I heard that, at no point during the season did Caleb get a script,
nothing,
first 15 plays,
nothing.
That's how that's not even. I can't even explain that. Can't even explain it.
No, I mean, it's Shane Waldron. That's how you explain it. Yeah. Shane Waldron was his coach. Matt Eberflus was his coach. And that's another thing that people don't give enough credit to is just how bad the Bears coaching staff was last year. It was every team is going to say, oh, we have the worst coaching staff in the league. The Bears had the worst coaching staff in the league and the dumbest at the same time, legitimately. And I would put the house on that. And it's not. I mean, he seems like a nice guy, but Matt Eberflus is just not intellectually competent, especially in that division. When you talk about
senile guy hired him.
Yeah. So I mean, and it's a big reason why people have a lot of problems with Poles is that Poles was, gave the vote of confidence to Eberflus to allow Eberflus to oversee Caleb's rookie year. It was a total disaster. Anyone could have told you that there was a significant chance of that. A lot of Bears fans wanted to believe that Caleb would be able to overcome it, and in some cases he did. You talk about how I got to take a little bit of an issue and disagree with the point of like, I see where you're coming from for the point of Caleb would have been better off maybe being able to have a year where he just sat back. Caleb was he should have won 2 games against the Packers. He put up almost 400 yards and multiple touchdowns against Brian Flores' defense against the Vikings, and was in it to the very end, had a chance to win the game against the Lions on Thanksgiving. So I mean, we've seen him show you that he can will his team to compete with the best. I mean, when he's at his best, he was competing with playoff teams last year, but it was such a disaster around him that's the point. Just based on his surroundings, the environment he was in, he probably would have been better off just not playing, not having to deal with it. But from what you saw from him, I think we've seen more than a lot of people give credit for, just based on, there were a lot of losses. There were stretches where you didn't see touchdowns, but a lot of that had to do with the environment, with his surroundings, and with the guys calling the plays, because it was just a clown show of the highest order with Matt Eberflus and Shane Waldron last year. Ryan Poles is lucky to have his job, and he's certainly lucky to have Ben Johnson calling the offense this year.
You guys also ready to get your fucking money's worth out of Kevin Byard? I mean, I'm serious.
Did he play well last year?
Lord,
we already did.
He played pretty well last year.
He played well last year.
I think he led the team in tackles.
That is not a good stat though.
Missed 12 games.
Oh yeah, for a safety, yeah. Oh yeah,
missed 12 games and led the team in tackles.
He didn't miss 12 games.
He didn't miss 12 games. That would be crazy. That'd be impressive.
I thought I missed.
That would be really. That would also be. Yeah,
I am. Yeah, my bad.
So and Brisker, I definitely want Christian's take on the NFC North and the Bears going into this for sure. So I want to give time for that.
Let's hear Christian.
For 3 and 4, I think you can interchange Minnesota and Chicago. I think the only thing that I'm going to give Minnesota is the schedule, the way it shook out. Because I agree. I think Chicago has every chance to be better than Minnesota. I think they can easily be a better football team than the Vikings this year. I just think when you think the last 4 games of the schedule, we have Green Bay, San Francisco, Detroit. Minnesota's ending up with Green Bay, Detroit, New York. It's a bit of a toss-up. I just think the way their schedule shakes out, later back-to-back in London and Dublin, I think they just get a little bit more help with the schedule. So I'm going to take Minnesota, but not because they're a better football team. As far as how our roster is constructed right now, I do think we're kind of a year away on both sides of the ball. I think Dennis Allen still needs to get one more offseason to get the type of players he wants. I think there's an issue with the depth we have on this team. Obviously, we were talking about having a safety in the draft, going to get a safety in the draft, maybe adding another DB, a linebacker. We didn't really add much defensively, and Zaw Frazier's already out for the year. So it doesn't look like we're going to get a whole lot of added value to our defense this year, which is an issue for me.
Grady Jarrett? Can I interest you in Grady Jarrett?
Yeah, but other than Grady, I mean, we lost other guys as well. I just don't know. I'm just concerned about the depth. And then offensively, the biggest concern I have is just we're kind of not playing the best players yet. I love Zacchaeus. I just don't think Zacchaeus is going to be the best player on this team. I think
Well,
ultimately.
what? Oh, that's a hot take. Olamide Zaccheaus isn't going to be the best player.
No,
on the Bears?
he's not. He should not be. He should not be on the field.
Okay.
If Luther Burden doesn't take his job sooner rather than later, that's a problem for me. So I think there's a little bit of a stopgap issue offensively.
I'll take your Zaccheaus stock. You could sell that Zaccheaus stock to me.
I know
He
you
was
love
my
him.
pickup
He's a
in fantasy.
great player, great
this
vet,
past week.
great player, great vet. But there's no point to him being in there over Luther. I just don't. I don't think you can convince me of that.
I agree with that.
Yeah,
that's not the best case for our team.
right,
I just think the schedule shakes out better for Minnesota, but ultimately to finish the division, I think Detroit and Green Bay are both going to be around 10.5 wins. I still like Detroit because they can run the football at will, and honestly, it's almost going to be beneficial to take Ben Johnson away from this offense, take the ball out of Jared Goff's hands, feed the rock, control the time of possession, change the whole way this offense was ran. I think that's going to be beneficial to Detroit. I also think it's going to be beneficial to their defense, who is still extremely banged up. They got at least like 8 guys that you have injury concerns about already this year. So we'll see. I just think this is still the most talented team in the division. And Green Bay, again, one or two guys go down for Green Bay. I think you could really see them losing the entire season just by losing 1 or 2 key contributors on their roster. We didn't shout out Edge Cooper earlier. I guess it's a bully board, pin it. I think he's a Hall of Fame player, and he's a second-year guy. So just something to look out for. Huge fan of him.
I don't know about Hall of Fame, but I do agree he's a really good player. Had a really good rookie year.
Yeah. Hey,
by the way,
Lions
30th in strength of schedule. They have really hard. They have a really hard.
I'm just gonna say
they have a really hard schedule.
They started out 0-1 against the Packers.
So if we go down their
that's
schedule,
a little preview of
at Green Bay, Chicago,
Yeah.
Baltimore, Cleveland, they should split that. They should split that the first 4 games.
Browns kick their teeth in.
By the way, the Browns have the 31st ranked schedule. I don't know how, since they finished last place in their division last year, but they have the 31st hardest, or they have the 31st. I shouldn't say hardest schedule. They're second to last in strength of schedule. They have a really hard schedule as well. The Browns do. I don't know how. I mean, they play in a hard division, but
it's just accounting for all the luck that they've had at the.
That's not good for if we remember last year or the last pod, the end of
all the luck that they've had
season 1
since moving on from Baker Mayfield.
Christian and Mike both were saying that the Browns have a chance to win 8 games if I remember correctly. If somebody go and pull that up, that take is going to age like sour milk, and I can feel it in my bones.
We'll be able to hold them to it.
It's a
new get to the NFC North.
It's a new season, Turtle.
Yeah.